The final piece of the puzzle when it comes to handling stress and anxiety in everyday life is engaging the prefrontal cortex. We know that our prefrontal cortex at times has an enormous power to calm the amygdala, to control the reward network, and to exert all kinds of positive effects on our behavior that bring what we do in alignment with our long term goals. At the same time, an overactive prefrontal cortex can result in cycles of overthinking, worry, and rumination that amp up the amygdala and give us more stress than we need to experience. If this is something you identify with, I encourage you to explore cognitive behavioral therapy as a stress management technique. There's so much more to working with your prefrontal cortex than I can teach you in one video lecture in one class on one day. But I am going to give you just a couple of tips to give you a feel for how this technique might work. The first is simply to notice when you're thinking too much. It's easy to get swept up in a cycle of rumination and overthinking without even realizing that's what's happened. The next is to challenge your negative thoughts. And this is where the toolkit provided by cognitive behavioral therapy really comes into play. Simply recognizing that some of the negative thoughts you have might be exaggerated or not completely accurate is a really powerful tool that therapy can help you access and practice. Learn to recognize when your thinking is productive and that you're solving some of the problems that you face in life, and when your thinking isn't. When you find yourself retreading the same psychological ground again and again. The power of this fourth tip cannot be overstated. Schedule time to worry. It doesn't do any good to completely avoid a problem, but we also want to avoid overthinking about it. Sometimes by simply scheduling time to think about an issue, such as on Tuesday from 10 to 11:30, I will worry about my financial aid applications, can be really freeing. If you find yourself worrying about the topic outside of the time you've set aside, just remind yourself that there's a specific time to worry about that coming up really soon. And when the time to worry has arisen, you'll often find that it takes less time than you might have thought to come to a concrete solution when you're focusing on the problem completely. The last two techniques are really about knowing when it's time to set the prefrontal cortex aside. So, either mindfulness techniques or simply engaging in a non harmful distraction can really help you escape from a cycle of rumination and worry that you don't need.